people quit is because often they don't feel they're making progress along the way. And it creates a really disappointing place, which ultimately leads to that quitting. Now, one of the biggest problems in this moment is that sometimes people aren't actually seeing their progress. And today I want to share 4 tips that can help you stay on the path so you can actually achieve the goals you want to achieve and you can get the gains that you want in your life. So this week I've had a really fascinating experience in coaching one of the people who runs with us here in Christchurch. We've got this lady called Debbie who joined our Get Up to 5 group a while ago, and she's made massive progress with her health and fitness and brought a really good running habit into her life. And now she's currently doing our 10K program. So this is a 10K running group, which is helping people either run 10K or get faster at running 10Ks. And Debbie's doing the program, I think, for the 2nd or 3rd time now. So we're having this chat on Monday morning. She was doing one of our harder sessions and I'm coaching her. And she was talking about how she doesn't feel she's getting faster. And ultimately, it's a bit of a bummer because she put so much hard work into her running, and even though she's created a really good fitness habit, she's getting so much progress in other ways, her speed has not improved. So I spent the next moment in time talking to her about how she can get better at actually improving her running. And actually, probably 2 things. I was kind of helping her, how does she improve her running? But also, does she actually measure and see how she's making progress along the way? And I kind of had this conversation with her, and then I turned up on Wednesday morning when we were doing our track session, and Debbie comes up to me, she's got a bit of a smile on her face, she goes, "Bevan, you're not going to believe it. But on Monday morning, after we did our talk, I went and looked at my stats, and I had my 5K PB in my run on Monday morning, and it was quite a significant PB in my 5K run." Now, the thing about that run on Monday morning is we weren't doing a 5K race. She was just doing a run with some intervals within it. And so there were some moments where she was going faster and moments where she was going slower. But she had a 5K PB in that run. And this is a really interesting example that I see a lot on somebody's growth journey. A lot of times when people are on a growth journey, they can feel they're not making progress. And this is a really important moment because if you feel you're not making progress, the chances of you quitting that journey massively increases. Like if you're not making the gains you made from the effort you put in, why should I put the effort in? But unfortunately for a lot of people, what they end up doing is they quit based on the fact they don't feel they're getting results without actually doing the work to see if they've got the results in place. And it was really cool with Debbie this week was that Debbie, when she went back and looked at the data showed her she's making massive progress, and even on a run that wasn't a 5K race, she made a PB this week in the run. Now, can you imagine how Debbie felt when she looked at that data? She would have gone from feeling I'm not making progress to, oh my God, I'm absolutely killing it with my training. And this is a different emotional state because now Debbie wants to keep progressing, she feels successful, and it keeps her on her pathway. Now, I'm not saying Debbie was going to quit before that moment, but there's a real good lesson in here. So what I've done, I've actually written down 4 tips here. So I've written down 4 tips to help you see that you are making progress on a growth journey. And the first one is to have a start point that's your testing point. So for example, Debbie knew her 5K time. So she knew what her previous 5K record was. And I always think that whenever we're going on any growth journey, one of the things we must put in place at the very beginning is a start point understanding of where you currently sit. So if you're going to go on a running journey, where do I currently sit with my running pace? How far can I currently run? If you're going on a weight loss journey, what are my current scale numbers? But not even that, what are my current behaviors around this area? If you're going on a growth journey around a habit, like me on my piano, where am I with my certain skills in the different areas? So you might break down the area and say, here's the 6 skills I'm working on in this area, and where am I with all those different areas? Now this is really important because this gives us a line in the sand that then we use as a marker so we can help ourselves see our progress along the way. So number 1, you must get an understanding of where you are within the start of this journey. Then we go to number 2. Number 2 is you're looking for the different areas within this journey. I kind of touched on that a second ago, but this is really important because often in a weight loss journey, people look at the scales as the only thing that they assess. And the scales, if you're trying to lose weight, are important. Now, we can argue sometimes you're shifting the way your body weight works. So you might go from being a body weight, fat percentage might be higher and it may drop over time. So there's things that we can look at here, but also a weight loss journey is just not about the scales. It's about how you deal with the times when you're emotional, because a lot of people eat poorly when they're emotional. So how can you measure that aspect as well? You might measure How often do I make good, healthy choices when I'm in an emotional place in my life? Now, when you start a weight loss journey, you might say 100% of the time you make poor decisions. But then after a period of time, you might realize actually 50% of the time I'm making good decisions around these emotional times. So while there are some real obvious facts that we can look at, like the numbers on the scale, like the 5K time trial, what we want to do is we want to broaden out the things we are actually measuring, which is giving us a much broader idea of the focuses we should have and how we should be using our energy and what makes success in this area. Again, if we look at a weight loss journey, obviously putting less food in your mouth and making the right type of food choices are really important, but being a legendary planner is also really important. So if you were to make that one of your measurement things is what percentage of the time am I really good at planning my food, that's a really good thing to measure. And the nice thing about doing the multiple things that you're measuring is the scales probably will always be number one, but on that day when maybe the scales don't go in the right direction or you're not seeing massive progress quickly, you can still look and go, well, these areas over here, I'm still making progress in. Number 3, what have I got written down here? You must check in. And this is where Debbie's example is a really good example. Debbie hadn't really checked in. And I imagine if she had checked in, she may have seen that she was making progress along the way. And I've had lots of examples of this with runners where people come up to me and say, I just don't feel I'm getting better at running. And I say, well, what are your stats saying? And then they come back to me and say, oh my God, I've taken 30 seconds of K off in my speed over the last period of time. So while we must measure, and we must have a few areas that we're trying to measure, we should also be checking in a regular basis. So you might determine that every 2 months, I'm going to recheck in this area. So for example, I do it on my piano. So what I do is I'll get a piece that I'm working on and I'll record it. And then what I'll do is after a couple of months of working on it, I'll go back and listen to that recording and I'll play it right now. And with that 2 months of work in that song, I can see that I've made progress. Don't forget the check-in, because the check-in is the reward. Now, just one thing, sometimes you check in and maybe the results aren't happening yet. Now, in this moment, don't be despondent. Stay focused on maybe why haven't the results happened and what can you learn and strategize to be better in the future. Lastly, own your success. It's a really fascinating thing. So for example, I've learned that a lot of people are really good at diminishing their success. They might be on the weight loss journey, they might be on the exercise journey, and they might go, I've done well, but sure, I've lost 5 kgs, but I've still got 15 kgs to go. So what you're doing in this moment is you're saying the success I've had up to this point isn't important because I'm not where I want to be. Now this is a really bad thing to do, and the reason is you're diminishing the success you've made. What we want you to do is when you look at the measurements and you look at your data and you look at the progress you've made along the way, you want to feel like a legend. You want to give yourself a pat on the back. It should be a positive experience, because the more you can attach a positive experience and a positive emotional experience to your wins along the way, the more that keeps you on track. Whereas if you diminish your success, then you're actually taking away the really cool part of your journey. So when you're on your journey, even though you may not be at the end point yet, when you see those moments of success, enjoy them, embrace them, make the most of them, because it will help keep you on your journey along the way. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they quit, and sometimes they quit just before the breakthrough moment happens. If you want to be successful in life, the real key is doing a certain type of behavior for a consistent period of time that will get you to your end point. If you don't see your progress along the way, there's a higher chance you'll quit. So what are my 4 tips? What I wrote down? You got test yourself. Test in many areas, do check-ins along the way, and own your success. If you can do this, you're going to feel great about yourself, and there's a much higher chance you'll be consistent and you'll achieve that ultimate goal you want.